Alex is in Australia, so it's all our mornings over here. But it's
Oh
nice.
shit, you in Thailand, Louis?
Yeah, is it Pattaya?
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Pattaya?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Good times.
I don't leave my apartment.
You can have it delivered over there, man. It's all good.
I'm celibate. I've been celibate for a minute. Work mode, monk mode is what they call it.
Monk mode. All right.
Yeah, you do like 3 months of hard, literally monk mode, like only clean food, only working and meditating and getting sun and exercising and doing all the shit that you should do. But like,
Oh man,
yeah, I've been on it.
clean living. It's okay. I'll do the double amount of sin for you. That's my specialty.
You do the degenerate stuff for me.
Let the sin begin.
Thank you, James.
Yeah, I'm trying to make a few million. Whether the bull market's over or not over, I know that there's opportunities. I mean, shit. In the last time the bull market ended in November 30th, December 1st or whatever, and everything started going down, I think I made like 300,000 from like December to January shorting the market.
Short? Did you short it?
Just going shorting everything.
Oh, okay.
In 2022, when everything started to go down. So it's like, if there's another opportunity like that and there's volatility, because as a trader, you just care about volatility, up or down.
Exactly.
Obviously, you want it to go up because you like it and you make more money that way. But I'm looking at all the charts and trying to find stuff. But oddly enough, and I'll go into this later, even though Bitcoin's looking obviously like total shit, there's some altcoins that are looking pretty good right now. So we'll see. And there's a lot of coins that are outperforming Bitcoin, which you wouldn't expect.
There's an old trading saying. It says, bulls make money, bears make money, but hogs get slaughtered, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So trying to preserve capital and manage my risk while also looking for the opportunities that I know are there.
Yep, that's right.
Well, we got a lot to talk about because the sentiment is at really, really, really bad levels right now. So I'll start off real quick, giving you guys a quick look at everything using Kaito. Just you guys know, this is Kaito AI. This is $10,000 a year software. It's very expensive. Shows you what's going on throughout the ecosystem. This is an aggregate from all social media. The top 20 coins right now, Bitcoin's at number 1, Ethereum is number 2, and then Solana is number 3, holding on very, very closely there. Some new things in the top. We have Maple. I don't know what that is. Yeah, this is Sonic. Sonic's been making some moves. Barachain as well. And then honestly, if you're just looking at the sentiment as well, not looking to, excuse me, sit down here. Just one of these down here. Give me 1 second. Here it is. So market sentiment is pretty low today. We're actually matching sentiment pre-run up into the Q4, which had us, ramping up. Sentiment was like pretty high here, and then took a little bit of a dump right before the election, but then here sentiment just boomed to an all-time high, as well as total crypto market cap being pretty high as well. So looking at all this information here, we are kind of cooling off on multiple indicators. Not looking too hot from a price perspective. Some of the golden boy memes have been dying off, and the overall sentiment is very bad. What sentiment is? Just the market, exactly. So before we get started, just a show of hands, who thinks the bull market is over and heading into a bear market? Who here? I publicly, so far, my data has. I'll be willing to hold a big fat L on this one, but I personally think we are cooked. I think where a lot of people are in delusion. I see all these KOLs that used to be shilling stuff nonstop are now talking about getting jobs and trying to act all wholesome. When a couple months ago they were saying WIF is going to go to $10, Solana's going to go to 1,000, and then we're going to buy all these yachts and buy all these things. So I officially think this is the beginning of the end. But everybody else is on the opposite. Who thinks it's not over? Okay, Lou, you're in the middle, or you just froze?
Yeah, dude. I was like 90% sure it's not over, and then like last month, and then going to 80, and then 70, and then 60, and now I'm like 55, 45, but I'm still in the bull camp that it's not over, like, and that Bitcoin will make a new all-time high. Solana will make a new all-time high, and
Solana will make
even Ethereum, I think, is going to make a new all-time high.
Ethereum's going to make an all-time high. Now I'm awake. Okay.
Yeah. But it's like my confidence level is like 55% on that, on these things, but that's still bullish. It's still, if I had a gun to my head, that's what I say.
All right. So what we'll do, we'll start off with Alex as usual, giving us a general read on the market, and then we'll move forward into the rest of the panel. Go ahead, Alex. Take it away. Whatever you're ready.
Well, just to start off, I've got this sort of, just to give us a big picture, because John, you said something that was really great, which was sentiment levels as low as they were before we started this move, so all the way back sort of in August, which on this chart's around here, which was the start of this current weekly cycle and the end of the previous weekly cycle. So at the end of all of these cycles, you do get a complete reset of sentiment. So if we're all the way back down, fear and greed was at 10 today, which is typically like bear market low. Like that is, everyone's very sad at a 10. So that is sort of, whilst you can make the argument, is it all over now? Because it's occurring at the time that we kind of already expected sentiment to be low. Like if we go back through the previous week's shows, like I've been harping on and on and on about when time is up, price catches up. And time was supposed to be up at the end of February. And I've been saying at the end of February, time's up. So now we're getting that low. So this is kind of like what we wanted. Now, Bitcoin's dropped all the way, just shy of $80,000. That's a drop. Like it was not even 2 weeks ago at $98,000. Huge drop. But we were kind of expecting a drop at this point. So if we don't now get follow through into March, that's when I'm starting to get a bit sus about, okay, maybe things are actually wrong. But at this stage, because we were expecting the weekly cycle to end at the end of February, because we're expecting the 60-day cycle to end between the 18th of Feb, 12th of March, that's sort of that 50 to 70 day of the 60-day cycles. It's like,
take my money.
This is when we expect it to be happening. So I understand that people are a bit freaked out, especially alts getting absolutely creamed. I'll jump in the charts now just to show you that things, whilst they're not necessarily ideal, or you'd say less than ideal, it's not as terrible as you might think. So just to keep in mind, Bob put out a video today. Recommend everyone go check that out at some point. But just keeping in mind, like we were expecting the end of a weekly cycle, which is typically quite dramatic. We have gotten a sentiment to such a level that meets the requirements of a previous cycle low. So whilst we still might have further low action next week, this is sort of like everything is kind of happening as we sort of thought it might. Now, you could say, well, then why don't you just get out and get back in and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. We'll go through that as well. Why that same sort of scenario has happened before. And if you follow that thinking, whilst you might be like, yeah, I'll pick up an extra 20, 30% on my portfolio, if you were trying to do that early, back when Bitcoin was like $25,000, you probably would have fucked yourself over and ended up increasing your cost basis by like 2 times. So it's all about like, what's your trading plan? What's your trading plan? And 2025, Q4 has always been sort of the general, that's when the top is. And I said, in my view, if we were to get in the previous, because in November it got a bit frothy, and even recently here in around January, I went, if we're at $135,000, that was the number I outlined, is that's too cooked, that's too hot. I think it's all going to be over. Then I would get out. But we didn't get there. We got quite short of that. We're only at $109,000. Things are not too frothy. So here's Bitcoin daily chart.
You just zoom in on that a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. This box was the weekly cycle low somewhere in here box. So we're right in the box. We've hit the 200-day moving average. Cool. If we were to not finish up this down move this or next week and then start to recover and go up into March, that's when I'd start to be thinking, should we be concerned here? But at the current time, it's just I just can only assume that this is exactly what we thought it would be, which is a weekly cycle low in a healthy 4-year cycle that should be peaking in Q4 of this year. So if we look through, we had a big drop. Yep. For now, it looks like the drop is just chilling out. If we zoom all the way down to a sort of a 5-minute chart, we can see, and let's pull up some volume here so we can see if we got, so indeed, we've got a little bit of volume kicking in, but nothing too crazy on sort of a low candle. But the 5-minute chart has now turned up. And then as you go through, so the 5-minute chart, then you look at what's the hourly chart doing. Hourly chart has turned up, higher highs, higher bottoms. Cool. Then you go to the 4-hourly chart, and we sort of see the 4-hour charts turned up. Now, the 8-hour chart has not had enough time to turn up. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens here. But the market at least seems to have just like chilled for a second. I mentioned just before Bob Lucas put out a video. He hasn't put out a 4-year cycle video for the last 3 months. Yet, yesterday, even he felt compelled to do something. So clearly the sentiment is having an effect on lots of people. Here we have a bit of volume kicking on that one. So in terms of where Bitcoin's at, we were kind of expecting this. And if your trading plan was sell at the top later in 2025, then really just don't do anything. If you're a trader, Lou was saying volatility, that's good, that's opportunity. If you're a trader, yeah, you'd be zipping around, monk moding your way through this and really locking in to trade. But if you were just sitting there going, I'm buying it, I'm going to sell it in 2025, then this is kind of just noise. It's just kind of noise. Solana, we've had a big drop. Yes. So we got nearly to $300. One sec. So nearly $300. And now we are down. 5 weeks down. 55%. Now, to contrast that, Ethereum's only like 40-something% down. But Ethereum hasn't even made a new all-time high. So when you adjust the numbers and everything, this is sort of nothing new. If we were to keep going down from here, yeah, that's no good. But we were expecting a cycle low on Bitcoin. Alts get hit harder. So I've just got to given its strength over this 4-year cycle period, I've just got to give it the benefit of the doubt. We're going to be revisiting this as we move into March to see what happens. Solana has never done more than a 5-week drop in a row, except for one time in the bear market where it got 10 weeks down. But other than that, 5 weeks is when it tops out. So we've got 5 weeks down now. Beautiful. We could still keep going lower, but just remember the week is still happening right now. So this candle kind of doesn't exist beyond the fact that it is a lower candle. So you can say the week's down, but this kind of candle, it hasn't closed yet. So we can't, decide. If we fly all the way up here and close, above $155, then actually 158, then all of a sudden you'll be going, oh, my, holy shit, look at that candle. That looks so good. We don't know that. Time has to pass. So we're just going to have to sit tight and wait. If you wanted to sell, you should have been selling earlier. If you didn't, then that means you're probably not a trader. You're probably buying to swing trade it over a longer period, which means just chill, stick to your plan. What was your plan? So I am interested in everyone else's thoughts as we keep going by and what they're thinking. We've got a drop on the Sol Bitcoin. We had this kind of range, and now we've dropped below. So we'll see. We are expecting that Bitcoin will make a recovery faster than everything else, and then everything else will follow. So we shall have to see if this is still some kind of concern. Ethereum, it made it slow. It came up, but it's, it's constructive, a higher bottom, I guess, but still nothing really nice is happening around here. It's very much everything is dying except for Bitcoin. And then you can find a few alts here and there that might be good in the short term to be trading. But in general, Bitcoin down, everything else down. So I'll put it to the panel. Where is everybody else at on this? I'm very much, I have to wait and see for the next few weeks.
Cooked. It's over.
Let me share a screen. I really agree with Alex. I think this is just a part of normal pullback during a just long bull cycle. Give me 1 second. Can you guys see this?
Yeah, there you go.
Again, like we talked about, when in doubt, zoom out. So this is a total crypto market cap from TradingView. Let's just take a look where we were last year or when we started. We started this cycle here at about $1 trillion market cap. And now we're setting right under $3 trillion market cap. So really, I mean,
Can you
is bull
zoom in a
market
little bit,
over?
James? We can't see it. Just zoom in a little bit. Oh, there you go.
So yeah, we started about 1 trillion, and we got all the way up to like 3.7, 3.8 trillion. Now we're coming down right below 3 trillion. So is bull market really over? I mean, from where we sit end of 2023, we pretty much went up by 3x. So when we were saying, oh, the bull market's over, because we had maybe what? From 3.7 to 2.7, so about 30% correct pullback. I mean, I guess if you guys think the bull market's over, it's over, right? But I don't think so. I mean, remember we were saying a few weeks ago on the show that when the Bitcoin was pulling back, 5, 6, 7, 8%, that we were kind of giving you guys heads up. Hey, be able to stomach these small fluctuation, because we will have a few or handful of real big pullbacks before the market, the whole bull cycle ends. And this is probably one of those. I mean, we're down, 20% in Bitcoin and 40, 50% in Solana. That's part of the normal bull cycle. I mean, because the market would make it painful for you or for us to hold it, because it wants to shake you out or shake out as many people as possible before it moves up again, right? So just looking at the total crypto market cap, we're still above this 30-week moving average, or we're touching it now. Last time we had the same thing here in last fall, that we were kind of teetering on this 30-week moving average. Then we kind of recovered. We touched the bottom of the trend channel here, and we kind of recovered, right? And I kind of see same thing happening, that we're going to get some sideway action here for next a few weeks before it starts moving up. If we, after next a few weeks, we start collapsing below this trend channel to maybe, 2.5 trillion, then we will have to revisit our thesis of a bull market still being intact. But until then, we're kind of on a middle of a pullback, and we'll be just in a holding pattern for next, a few more weeks.
All right. Adam, you're usually last.
Yeah. Well, my position is similar to Alex and James's. If you remember in previous shows, I meant starting off like Bitcoin 60-day cycle. Today would be day 58. So yesterday's low, at least on my chart, if that remains below, it would be day 57. Bearish cycle, just a bit shorter than the average 60-day mark, fits with the scheme of what we usually expect. I also mentioned on previous shows that I would switch to a more bearish stance if we had a couple, like 2 or 3 bearish cycles in a row, because those kind of patterns are more of a bear market kind of situation. Like at that, you shouldn't get that many in a row in a bull cycle. Alluding to the video, the book Lucas video that Alex mentioned, I watched it today, and he basically expressed the same idea as my idea of with the 60-day cycles, but with he's looking at the weekly cycles, and what he is on the lookout for is that what he calls a failed cycle. So what he's calling a failed cycle is a cycle where there is no new high compared to the previous one, but it does go into a lower low than the previous one. So that kind of structure would signal a shift in long-term sentiment or like a direction for the market, and that's when he says that he would be considering more than okay, maybe it's all over. But until that happens, he remains bullish, and I tend to agree with that. Either that kind of fail cycle scenario or the one that I mentioned previously, multiple 60-day cycles bearish in a row. That's what would flip me into the bear. Right now, we're just in a 60-day cycle bottom. It's a strong one. It's the first like strong one we've had this cycle. It doesn't surprise me that people are all doom and gloom, and especially it's the first one we've gotten after breaching 100K for the first time. So yeah, we could go a bit lower, maybe into the mid to low 80s. I don't think we go anything under that. Like we do have some support that we built around the 70s, but I see it kind of unlikely that we go that low, especially in this cycle. Like time-wise, at least the bottom is already in or should be in the next couple of days. And considering the drop we already got, I don't think it's going to be much lower than where we are right now.
All right. Interesting. All right. Lewis, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. So I think that you could definitely make a case for Bitcoin going down to 75,000. So let me throw my chart on here.
Already to super chat. In the meantime, Christopher Baker, $5 super chat says, do you guys have anything to say about Javier Milei meme coin pump and dump? I mean, there's really nothing to be said. It's just like crypto gossip. We're really not about that here. But I will just say that it just shows you that honestly, people are vastly undereducated in crypto, including you. If you hear the sound of my voice right now, you are vastly undereducated in crypto. Like statistically speaking, there's a 99% chance I'm right. And I just think that this is a big ongoing part of our future, and you really need to get properly educated if you want to make any money, because you can make millions. You can make millions. You can make millions. It's very accessible to the average person if you put in above average work. Lou, there you go, buddy. Screen is up for you. It's a little hard to read though. It's too zoomed out. If you want to,
yeah, I'll fix it in a second. So yeah, well, one thing. While other people were talking, I did go in and plot out all of the drops for the different cycles. Mm-hmm. And so back in 2017, on the way from $800, $900 up to $20,000, we had a drop of 42%, another drop of 40%, another drop of 30%. So 40, 30 drops on the way up in the bull market in 2017. And then in the last cycle, we had a drop of 21%, 32%, 26%. And then in the summer, we had that 55% drop from the highs back in April all the way down to June when it hit that low. And then we ended up making new all-time highs. And so it's a possibility that this same type of thing is happening right now. And if we go to this current cycle, you see we had a drop of 22%, 20%, 22%, 33%. So this was the first average drop that we had. And now we're at 25%. So typically it's around 30, but it could get all the way up. It could get even more than 30. And there's not really a cause for too much. You can't really say that that's the reason why there's a bear market. And if you take the fib from the very bottom to the very top and you look at the golden ratio, which is typically where things love to bounce from, you could see that this actually lines up really perfectly with the previous highs right here. And if we go back, where is it? Oh, maybe on my other chart I had it plotted out better, but you could see that this was the previous highs, attacked it. So it's a big SR flip area plus the 61.8 golden ratio. That's usually where I love to, take my longs. So I feel like if something does come down here, this would be the area to long, is like 74 to 75,000. And you gotta go with that. But as of like right now, what I'm seeing is just the fact that we had, let me go to the daily chart too, make it more clear, is the fact that you could obviously see all of these supports, just constant supports around 91,000, and we were just going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And the thing that everyone was saying, including myself, of why we were not bearish over the last week, I want to say, or over the last few weeks, really, is because of the fact that Bitcoin was in a range. And when I say bearish, I meant specifically for Bitcoin. So because it was in this range, it was just back and forth and back and forth and back and forth multiple times off of support. So now that it broke through here, what typically happens when the price breaks through a really big support, it turns into really big resistance. And so this is going to be very difficult to come back. Like, it should technically be very difficult to break back above here. So even if we do come back up to 90,000, I would be looking for shorts in this area. And honestly, even if we come all the way back up to the origin of the move, which is right up here at 95 to 97,000, 96 and a half, that I'd also be looking for shorts up here. Best case scenario is that we break back above the major support right here, come down, retest it, and then start shooting up. And obviously that would be great for us. But as of right now, the daily chart is three strikes down. That's horrendous. Go down into the 12-hour chart. There's nothing here technically. Like, we had this really bullish candle, but then we broke underneath of it and closed, which is super, super bearish, which I hate. Go down into the 4-hour chart. Finally, we see something happening. Typically, what happens as a technical analyst, what you do is you look for what's known as market structure breaks. So you could see basically this was the low, right here. This was the low, and it was sort of just like going up, sticking around there. Finally, it broke underneath there. So this candle is what marks a market structure break and to the downside. So that's bearish. And typically what happens is you see a recovery up to the move that happened before the break. So the up move, the up candle before the down move that broke the market structure is where you see it come up to, and then it goes back down. But as you could see right here, we never came back up to this area. We never had a bounce. It just fell even further down, which is even worse. It's really bad when that happens. And we created another bearish market structure break. So now you would expect the price to bounce and come up to this area right here, the up move before the down move that broke the market structure. But once again, it didn't even do that. It literally just continued to crash, and it created another bearish market structure break right here when it crashed underneath here. So now, what I'm expecting is a move up to here, and then I'll look for shorting opportunities to look for shorts to come down to my target area, which is somewhere down here at the 61.8 of the entire move. Or if I don't see any bearish candles, then I'll basically look for bearish candles in this entire in this entire zone. Like, this entire zone to me is bearish. So until we break back above here or put in what's known as a bullish market structure break, then and a bullish trend starts to form, I'm super, super, super cautious on Bitcoin. And so as you can see, this literally looks like this. Down, breaks it, down, breaks it, down, breaks it. So until something happens where it turns around and it starts to make a higher low and then a higher high, that's when I'll say, okay, maybe the downtrend is over, and I want to trade with the trend because you have a much better chance. And so I'll want to get in on, you know, a move down while the trend is moving up. But right now, the trend is moving down. So I want to look for shorting opportunities on moves up. And until it flips into this, you know, then I'm going to remain bearish because I don't want to, you know, jump the gun unless we get into what I call ideal buy zones or extreme value zones. And if we go back to the higher time frame, this to me is where that extreme value zone is. And you could also see that this was the down move before the move up that broke the market structure to the upside. So this technically is, you know, what we call the bullish order block. It's like the area where the price tends to come down to, and it lines up perfectly with the previous tops, the big support area or big resistance that turns into support, and the 61.8, which I really like. So for me, I'm going to be bearish until we come down here. And then once we come down here, I'm definitely going to just start buying, just buying, just straight up. And then if I start seeing some bullishness, so let's say it comes down here and it does something like this, comes down and puts in a wick and then jumps right back up. And so that basically means that this is a fake out, fake move to the downside. I want to long everything I have right here, because it creates an area where this is a perfect invalidation. Because if I'm wrong, then I'll just put my stop underneath here. And if it happens to fall back down underneath this, you know, big support area and this big wick, then, you know, no problem. I'll get out at a few percentage loss, you know, 4% loss. But if this happens and everyone thinks that we're gonna crash even further and it's over, but then it comes back up and it creates that higher high right here, that's when I want to really, really get in. So right now, like I said, I'm doing the opposite of this. And in Elliott, in different theories in market structure and trading, typically when you see like a consolidation, a bullish consolidation, what happens is the price will do something like, this. Let's say this is support, right? It'll bounce off support, It'll maybe come up. And then everyone thinks that it's really good. And then it'll crash down. It'll go underneath the support and it'll have what's known as a spring underneath the support to fake everyone out, but then spring back up and then, you know, basically continue its move up. And if you look at this whole area right here, that's precisely what happened, is that it was, you know, in this area, whatever, la yada yada, and then it fell all the way down underneath all of these supports, sprung back up, and then had this continuation up. But, and this is why it's this right here is a little bearish. The opposite of that is bearish. So instead of having the spring down here below the support, what happens is there's the spring or the fake out above the resistance. And if you could see right here, boom, 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 boom. It's in this range. It's going back and forth. And then we had the spring right above the resistance. And then, you know, we had the fall down. We had the move down. So yeah, like I just look at this technically from a trader's point of view, from a technical analysis point of view, and it does not look good. It looks very bearish to me. And until we come back above here, I want to look for shorts, and I don't want to just like haphazardly jump in, because I don't feel like this is a good area, because you can see there's nothing really to the left. And that's typically what's known as no man's land. So you could take the range from this low to up here to this high, and we're basically in the middle. And that's not where you want to get in or out of trades or investments. You want to get into trades or investments down at the bottom, because that's where the value lies. And you want to get out of trades or investments at the top of the range, because that's where things are, you're paying a premium, right? So that's my game plan right now. And I've already sold off a lot. But like I mentioned earlier, this is a little crazy to me what I'm seeing right now. So I got an alert because I go through my charts and I set alerts, right? And I set an alert for this coin. It's called Geode, right? This is actually a coin that's within the government. And I just drew this trend line, really simple. And look at what happened. It went up 16%. And against Bitcoin, this is while Bitcoin's going down. So against Bitcoin today, it's up 22%, which is quite wild. Look at HBAR for the past 3 days. HBAR is up nearly 18% against Bitcoin. I still think I'm hoping it'll come down here, sweep this big wick, because that's typically what tends to happen. But you would think that with Bitcoin falling really like quite substantially over the past few days, that a lot of these other coins would be doing that. But look at this coin. This is Plume. It's another RWA token. It's doing pretty well. It's not doing bad, right? Look at Quant. Quant network against Bitcoin for the last 2 days is up 30%. So you have to start asking yourself, what's going on? And is there something happening here? Because of course, the rule should be that if Bitcoin is going down and Bitcoin's tanking, alts should be tanking, right? If Bitcoin dominance is going up, alts should not be doing well, right? Well, then how come these alts are doing this? Unless this is just like some type of fake out in order to get people to buy. And there's other alts that look like this, like they look really bad. Like this doesn't look good at all, right? So it's not every single alt, but I look at this one. I look at the Story protocol, right? I'll get rid of my things that I drew out here. But if you look at this, this isn't a bull market. This is a great looking chart. It's been up only since February 16th, right? So I think this is what I'm saying when I'm saying like there's definitely opportunities. And one that I just went in that I shared was PopCat, right? Because if you look at PopCat, look at this. Look, this is doing very, very well. It's up 32% from the lows. And if you look at the 3-day, actually, let me go to.
You got to factor in that did get listed on Coinbase.
Was that
yes
at this time right here, like yesterday, or no? That was right here. That was on February 6th.
Yeah.
Yeah, it got listed on Coinbase February 6th. Had this really nice pop up. And then fell, it fell back down. But this is a 3-day chart, which is a high time frame chart, and this is known as a bullish hammer candle, which is one of the most bullish candles that you could get. And if it happens on a high time frame chart, I mean, and it creates it creates this higher high right here. I mean, sorry, higher low right here, with decent volume. And the RSI is starting to move up. I don't know. It looks good from a technical perspective. Like it's definitely good enough for me to punt and risk 2% of my account on as a trade, stuff like this. So this is what's throwing. It's not necessarily like throwing me off, but I'm just finding it really. I'm finding it a little odd that there are things like this that are happening. Obviously, like I said, it's not every single coin. Most coins do look like crap, but you can find these needles in a haystack, like IP or potentially PopCat. And I had a few other ones that I was in that ended up doing pretty well. And so yeah, I'm looking at these things, and I'm trying to just trade the charts. And for me as a trader, it's like if Bitcoin was doing well and we were in a bull market and stuff, I would look at some of these charts and I would be like, okay, like this looks really good. I want to risk, 4 or 5% of my account on every single trade. But because we have the fundamental stuff or Bitcoin itself looking really, really bad, I lower the amount of risk that I'm taking per trade to 0.5 to 1%. Maybe 1.5%. So I'm still able to take trades, and I'm not going to lose everything if I happen to lose and things fall apart, right? But I see some setups. When I see good setups that fit into my trading routine and trading style, I want to take them, and that's what I'm seeing. And I'm sort of just waiting for a few coins that I really like. Ondo is one that I really like. This is a great zone for Ondo. I know Tau Network is another one that I'm really excited about. And I mean, if we could get Tau, if you could get Tau down here at 232 at this previous level, right underneath this wick, then that would be, in my opinion, an amazing buying opportunity. Of course, it all depends. Is the market like completely toast or is it not? And one thing why I'm not 100% convinced that the market is completely toast is because of the fact that there are these different coins that are doing okay. And not the entire market is crashing. But of course, I could be wrong, but I do think that it's worth looking at and worth taking a punt if you see things, come into levels that are really good, what I'd like to call ideal buy zones or ideal zones. And yeah, that's my take. And it's a little bit different because, I'm a trader. And if I do see certain things that I want, because from a fundamental perspective, I like them for the long term, I will grab some of them as well. Miggles was one of them because this is a Coinbase coin, and I'm big on the base chain. This one, but these ones, it could go to zero, it could not. Who knows? But yeah, it's just a little bit of a different perspective than the whole, than the whole thing. But I honestly, if things come down here, if Bitcoin gets down to this level down here, 61.8, and we start seeing some good price action, yeah, that's when I want to be putting a lot more risk on. So I am definitely still more risk averse right now, but I'm open to taking some trades if I happen to see them. So
interesting. Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess I'll go next. Well, I mean, the way I'm looking at things, this is my third bull run, and I've noticed I'm just very in tune with like my intuition and what's going on with the market. And since like the current situation, the sentiment is really bad, really, really, really bad. And I've seen this before when a lot of people don't want to admit it because it's hard to admit that a good thing's over. Now, looking at some things too, this just hit my desk. There are some positive aspects and some negative. I'll cover the negative first. So the biggest driver of price movement this whole time, which everybody seems to overlook, is the Bitcoin ETF inflows. And there's no ands, ifs, or buts about this. The days that we had positive big numbers, that's when we hit the all-time high here on the 14th. The day before the 14th, we had 1 billion in inflows, right? And collectively, we would have multiple billions coming in these weeks. This is the beginning of the ETFs. Then we had a 6-month kind of period of silence, and then ramping up into the election, they had enough data most likely, and they started moving in slowly but surely. And then we had some really crazy days of multiple $1 billion day inflows here, ranging from November to end of December, quite frankly. Now we're having record outflows. BlackRock just hit the news right now. This was 33 minutes ago. They had their largest day of outflows, which was $421 million of inflows. That's the largest day ever in BlackRock. BlackRock used to hold no matter what. That's not the case anymore. Fidelity also 146 million in outflows. Everybody's outflowing today. And then the other day, we had the largest day ever in outflows. We had $1 billion day in outflows. Today, I don't know if that matched it, but this puts us 560 plus this is like 730 plus this puts us right around $800 million outflow for the day. So that's not looking hot. The biggest thing too is once you start seeing some narratives fall apart, because that's all crypto's kept together on. Everything in crypto is kept together about hype. That is the driving force. And at first, it was Trump getting into election, which he did, and then we had tremendous amount of price movement. That's the only thing that moved Solana. And then Trump launched his meme coin, which is the only reason Solana broke up to all-time highs. Now, if you take a look at Pump.fund, so Pump Fund, the coins that are bonding are reaching lowest levels ever. So Pump Fund is drying up and dying. Solana is at 130 something. This is even worse than it was before the election happened. The meme coin mania has completely stopped. WIF is the darling meme coin of this cycle, and WIF is I think at 55 cents, and it used to be at $4 and change, all-time high. What is that now? 57 cents. In addition to that, there's additional scandals when people are saying oh, they were going to put WIF on the Sphere, and then the representatives for the Sphere came out and said, actually, that's not going to happen at all. And a lot of these KOLs are now posting about oh, you could get a good job in the trades, you should get a good job in this industry and that industry. And the frequency of the posting as well has kind of slowed down a lot of these memes, and the overall hype has been pretty low as well. I think a lot of guys it took a lot of people it took people over 6 months. People finally capitulated into June 2022. So there's that as well. So that's the positive. That's the dark side. That's the negative side. Okay. Now, the other side of the story is this. Now, on, I believe it is March 15th, there are 4 ETFs set to be approved for Solana. That is the Bitwise, that is the Van Eck, that is the Canary, and then there's one more. I forget what it is. But those 4 are up for a final decision, and Grayscale is also up for decision, but their final decision is in November or October. So now we're going to find out, are we going to get a Solana ETF? If we do not get approval on the Solana ETFs, we're just going to kick the can further down the road. But that's all we've been doing since we've started realizing things aren't looking so hot end of January. Everybody's saying things are going to turn around February, things are going to turn around February. But what everybody's doing is they're stretching their expectations. They're saying, okay, well, this hasn't happened yet, and then this hasn't happened yet, and we're continuing to kick the can down the road. Now, these corrections, yes, they are potentially the norm for Bitcoin, and that is a part of a bull market for sure. The way I look at things, though, is we have no more narrative. These Bitcoin strategic reserves are getting struck down state by state. I think Utah is the only one with the potential to approve it. And I don't see another large narrative to drive any more positive sentiment. Trump getting in was the biggest thing. People were living up to that. The whole world was watching that election. And then the whole world dove in and made a bunch of money with the meme coin that he launched. Billions and billions and billions of dollars were made. So now there's another side is this. Could we, because there's this account here, I recommend everybody follow it as well, because there's a thing called Market Makers, and there's a company called Wintermute and other ones that are doing stuff along these lines. So these companies right now they're moving Solana within each other, and then they're selling Solana and dumping it, pushing the price down artificially. This is happening pretty badly. Coinbase and Binance are all doing this, and it's all trackable here on. Oh, hold on, let me reschedule. This is all trackable as well on Arkham. If you have these links here, this is good. I'll put this link in the chat for you guys, and that's the link right there. You can just see it's in the link. It's Marty Party Music, but he's been tracking the market manipulation and movement for quite some time now. And so, he's also posting that the DTCC shows 2 Solana futures ETF symbols. So could they be driving the price down in order to accumulate more for when the ETF launches in March? theoretically, that could be on the table. All right. But again, rate cuts not looking like they're happening in March. We could say it's going to turn around, it's going to turn around, it's going to turn around. But looking at the chart, so far, we have not had that turnaround on Bitcoin. Okay. We have not had that turnaround in Ethereum. We're not going to open the Ethereum thing because that's been a joke in itself. And we have not had a turnaround so far on Solana. So looking at all this, like we had a double top here, you know, this was, I think we, you know, if we do call it, we had a double top. It was first Trump winning, and then second was the Trump coin. And then that was our double top. But again, I don't see any positive narrative. I don't see any momentum. I don't see any good news on the horizon. All the news we're getting economically is bad. Jobs reports bad. Inflation up. Like there's really no good news to drive anything. And all I'm looking at on a day-to-day basis is I'm waking up and prices are going lower and lower and lower. So that's my perspective. I'm happy to be wrong, but I'm also not afraid, you know, to speak up and tell my opinion. You know, it's not like I'm some dickhead. I've made a lot of money in cryptocurrency, kept it too. And, you know, this is something to pay attention to, but my instincts are, they're not feeling good about this at all. I think, you know, because we have Bob Lucas calling for $600 Solana, you know, in the middle of January. And then now he's like, well, alts are cooked. Alts are dead now. And it's like, that's a pretty big spectrum to fluctuate within. So that's what I'm thinking. So my number one thing is, I would just say, if you're in cash, you know, taking a breather to see what's going to happen is not going to be beneficial to you, because right now we have been in a downtrend, and we've been in a downtrend for a month straight. Like there hasn't been a really recovery rally on any of these assets. So that's my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody disagree?
Well, I agree that it's a bad idea. Oh, yeah, you go,
Yep.
James.
Go ahead, James.
I disagree. I think, again, market is a forward discounting mechanism. So all the bad news has been baked in to the price of Solana.
Mhm.
So think about it. I think what's happening really is that the meme drained a lot of liquidity. But remember, the meme and Solana are two different things. Solana is just a platform, and the meme just kind of rode on top of it. And I think the people, they were having this huge expectation because of the meme, kind of Solana price rode on top of that. Now all that has been cleared out, plus the unlock and plus all this negative sentiment has been baked into the price. So, and plus you're looking at what? It had 280 and now it's down to 140, 50% pullback during a bull run. It's normal.
Yeah, but that pump up was not organic. That was 100% because Trump launched a meme coin, right? The only reason we went up to that number was because Trump launched a meme coin. If he didn't launch that meme coin, the downtrend would have continued sooner and faster.
I don't believe it. I totally disagree with you.
But then how would that money have happened if Trump didn't launch his meme coin? This is because they needed to buy Solana to get his coin.
Well, that's fine. But again, we're still in the bull market. And Solana, where was it a year ago?
Let's see. 1 year ago.
I think.
This at
We're at
120.
26. So it was about
We were at $400.
$100.
Yeah.
So
109.
We went up to. We started this journey at $8, guys.
Mm-hmm.
So are you going to have a bellyache over? We're at 140.
Well, I think the majority of people didn't start at $8. I think maybe, I don't know if you did, but the majority of people watching did not start at $8 entry point.
That's where your trading plan comes in, right? Your holding period and your target and stop loss.
Yeah, it became pretty obvious at like $40 that Solana was going to be the coin this cycle. I think.
Yeah. So 50%.
Most people didn't get in at that point, but
yeah, 50% pullback per alts during a bull run is pretty much normal. Previous cycle, alts pulled back 60-70% before making all new highs. So it all depends on what price you get in and what's your pain point, right? So you started this journey at $8-10. You're still sitting pretty, right? So I would recommend, if you want to take some profit, but I still recommend holding it. But if you got in at all-time high at 260, I mean, then you got some more thinking to do, right?
You're cooked.
Yeah. So that's why we don't recommend you going in at all-time high. And we've been preaching for over a year to jump in when this was below $100.
Yeah.
But am I in that Solana bull run is over? I think far from it. The Bitwise just came out with their analysis, and they're projecting Solana between $3,000 to $6,000 in 2030. But does that mean it's going to go from 140 straight to $6,000? No, there's going to be significant pullbacks in between or throughout all the run up in the price. Same thing. Look at what we did here. Look at what we did here from last March to July. You could almost call that a triple top. It went from what?
I think even if we are in a bear market, if you buy it under 120, even if we are in a bear market, you're going to be sitting pretty, in a year, 2 years, like that.
Just look at the sideways action from last year, from last March to October. It went from all-time high in March of $210 at that point, all the way down to what? At one point, $110? I mean, that's close to 45% pullback. So it's normal during the bull run.
Mm-hmm.
It pulled 40% pullback before it made all the way back up to $280, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think the bull run's over. I mean,
Adam,
if you think it is,
crazy.
you can get up.
Adam, you were saying if we don't see some major price action by March, you think we're cooked. Here we are.
I did say that, but we are still 2 days away from March. So
Okay, so we're gonna have a big rally tomorrow.
tomorrow's the day, man. I'm telling
one
you.
more day.
We're gonna figure it out.
I'm gonna say
BlackRock with their biggest day of outflows today, but tomorrow it's all gonna turn around.
But that was it. Fear and Greed was still in the 20s,
Let's go.
And then the $1
would be
billion outflow day,
crazy,
and then 10. So it's like, cool, because we needed that. We need that flash. But we just have to see. A new weekly cycle should happen now. But as Lou was saying, like, don't just buy in no man's land. I think it's a terrible idea for anyone to just buy purely because they think they can lower their cost basis. Like, you need to have a plan. Don't just like, oh yeah. And you'll hear people talking about like, oh, this altcoin or this altcoin, buy this. It's 90% down. I heard someone saying the other day, oh, Illuvium is below $16. But it's like, fuck, what are you talking about? Like, that shit was $2,000. And now it's at 16, and people are like, oh my God, it's got to go back to 2,000, even though it's had like 98% inflation. Like,
This is like the episode of The Simpsons when Homer is chasing that pig in the sky. And he's like, oh, it's just a little slimy. Like, it's going through the water. Now it's like flying through. It's just a little airborne. It's still good. I don't see it. I mean, okay. So then it's basically the panel versus me. So what's the narrative? What's going to carry us along?
if
that Solana ETF
we need a
gets
hero.
passed, that's going to pump Solana hard. But
Yes.
also like for
I
the
agree on that.
people at home, like I made a mistake last cycle. I did everything perfectly. I bought low, I sold the top, and I took a lot of money out, but I did end up buying back. And then I was patient. Waited 60-70% things to drop. And then I bought back because it was down 70%. So it's a good thing. And I bought it. But what I've learned since then is that you should really have some understanding of candlesticks and how to read a chart. And then when the price comes into those areas that you think are really, really good, give it a few days. And, once you start seeing some bullishness, then go in and have a stop loss, because even though something dropped 90%, it could drop another 90% from that price.
Now you're
And
talking.
so maybe from the top there's, oh man, I forgot the joke, but it was pretty funny about like, what do you call something that dropped 90%? Something that dropped 80% and then another 50% on top of that. And it's like, what do you, so people are like, oh, it dropped 80%, I'm going to get in, but then it drops another 50%, or it drops 90%. Okay. So you're like, oh, it dropped 90%. So you go in, but then it drops another 90% from where you got in from. And now it's down, instead of being down 90%, now it's down 99% from the top. So it's always possible. You can't think like, oh, it's down, X amount, so it could only go down, a little bit further. No, it could keep on going down from whatever price you get in. It could lose 99% of its value. You could lose 100% of its value, basically, from whatever price you get in. It doesn't matter if it's 99% down. You could still end up losing 99% from where you get in, So you have to be careful, because if we are in a bear market and things are going to go and things crash, like, it doesn't matter if you get in a value zone, unless, of course, you're talking about Bitcoin or probably Solana or maybe Ethereum. But for most of the stuff, like a lot of the stuff, there's a possibility that you could lose the vast majority of your USD. And the main thing about trading, and the main thing about crypto specifically, is, man, if you just have the capital, if you just preserve your capital and until the right times, you could make up so much. And so just never lose everything. Always have some USD to deploy. Unless, of course, we're in the part of the cycle where you should just be all in, or more than all in, just like doing everything you can to put as much money into the market as possible. But obviously we're not there right now. So yeah, that's my 2 cents for maybe.
Let's kind of step back though. Let's step back. Beginning of this journey, our thesis was that Solana will replace Ethereum. Has that thesis changed?
No, it has not.
Right? And look at this.
Your dog ran away 6 months ago. You still think it's coming back? He's right.
Look at this. This is a chart from last bull run.
Mm-hmm.
Solana went up all the way from around $2 to $60.
Mm-hmm.
Then it pulled all the way back to $22. People are running up to $240. Same people that were screaming, hey, it's done, it's done. After the 60% pullback, set their hands, and they didn't get in until probably this area. And left all this return on the table. So that's what we were saying. 50-60% pullback during a huge bull run in altcoins with the correct thesis and fundamentals are normal.
Now we're cooked. I want to know, what is the narrative? What is the next narrative? What is going to keep
hold on.
driving?
When the Popcat was going from 5 cents to $1.50, were you saying, were you asking narratives? Were you asking where the money will come from?
Well, the narrative was clear as day.
Yeah, the meme coin super cycle, which ended up being wrong, right?
No, my narrative was
not Trump or Solana when the meme coins were going up. the narrative we were saying was the meme coin super cycle.
Mm-hmm.
That was the narrative, but ended up being wrong, right?
Mhm.
So
But
narratives
the
can
big
always
narrative-
end up being wrong.
The big narrative I was saying from the get-go was not meme coins. It was always Trump and the election. I think that was our big.
Our narrative with Solana is still it's going to replace Ether.
Hmm.
Has
What are
the
they-
narrative changed?
So what are they going to buy?
Has that narrative changed?
I just don't see where the momentum's coming from. Like, with sentiment's down, prices down, I don't like the government swatting down.
Do
these-
you think we're going to have 100% information in the market?
No,
I
certainly.
doubt we have even 50% information in the market,
Mhm.
right? So we know for a fact that the base thesis, fundamental thesis is sound still.
Mhm.
It's that Solana would replace ETH. So look at all the other metrics. You can watch this Invest Answers or any of the other guys. The Solana users are up, the developers are up, the revenue's up, transactions up. The top 5 out of the top 10 DeFi's that in Solana, all the
Yes.
volume's up. TVL's right up there with ETH. So what changed fundamentally?
The price going down.
Your feelings.
the,
Right?
the price going
So
down.
what does it tell you? It's a sentiment driven. It's not fundamental driven, right? So until we think that fundamentally something has changed, we hold.
Mhm.
And your pain point is where that's your personal, right? When you got in, if you got in at $8, your pain point might not be until $50, right? But if you got in at $200, your pain point might be at $150, and you might be already out, right? So that's where the personal training plan comes in.
But for the general population,
Mhm.
the narrative was Trump, savior, meme coin super cycle. Meme coin super
That
cycle.
wasn't the thesis for our Solana. Our
No,
Solana
I'm
thesis
talking
was
the
that
general public. All these kids that came out and they're like, "I'm a meme coin millionaire. Follow my YouTube channel." All those kids,
where are they now?
yeah, hiding from the SEC.
Yeah. So and we're still on YouTube saying that our fundamental thesis for Solana have not changed.
Hmm.
I mean, Crypto Jesus is still out there
Huh?
tweeting about.
Who is
Crypto
what?
Jesus is still out. Crypto Jesus is still out there tweeting about
We're
SPX.
still out there trying to shield his bag, right?
He's shilling
So-
SPX. That's all he's doing.
Yeah.
Is shilling his bag.
I
So at
commend
the
his
end of the day-
dedication, though.
So can nobody on the
End of the
panel?
day,
Wait, hold on.
Hey,
Can
it's
nobody on the
personal-
panel give me a narrative? What is the narrative that's going to drive people through the pain of price going down every single day?
It kind of
I
doesn't
think
matter.
that there will be a narrative that
you gotta
pops
believe in
up
something.
eventually.
Yeah, exactly. Lou and I know based on the conventional TradFi trading, a lot of times price leads the narrative, right?
Mhm.
Price action happens because somebody insider knew some kind of narrative or inside information, so they will start trading and they'll start driving price up. Then the narrative and the media catches up and it comes out, right?
Mhm.
It's just now's the time where everyone is sad. Like, this is like we're scheduled programming. So if everyone's still sad as we move through March, then we can be starting to think, okay, is there something? It's taking longer than it should for something else to pop up for some sort of relief. But now's the time. Like, exactly how you feel, John, is exactly kind of how everyone should kind of be feeling. Like, this is the regular programming. So
Mhm.
just
Well, I'm a counter trend. So if everybody's feeling their way, I'm gonna go the other way.
That's a good way to be. I mean, and also, was it 5 days ago? $1 trillion was wiped out from TradFi. That was like about 5
yeah.
days.
Hey, I'm holding MicroStrategy. I'm down 40%. I'm still holding.
also, isn't it
Narrative still the same.
Earnings
They're
report.
changing the worthless fiat into something tangible in Bitcoin. Narrative has not changed for MicroStrategy, right? He's taking the fiat, which he thinks is going down in value, and exchanging it for Bitcoin, which he believes is going up in value, which I totally agree with.
All right, let's ask the chat. Is the bull market over? Okay, I'm going to put the poll in there. Just for I just want to see what the guys in the chat are thinking. I put a chat there. Go ahead, dudes. Vote on that. I said bull market over. Option number 1, yes, it's over. Option number 2, no, it's on. Let me know. I want to see what you guys have to see. But still, nobody has a narrative. Nobody has anything that can. That's what I'm looking for. What is the next narrative that's going to drive us?
Look, there's a one.
I know RWAs are going to become a narrative, but that's still a far way away.
Here's the. I'll give you guys some help. Here is the current narrative breakdown of the last 24 hours. So AI is now 27%. Number 2 is ETFs. This is most likely because of the Solana ETFs happening in about 2 weeks. Memes, we used to be number 2. They're now here at number 3. Or no, excuse me. DeFi is number 3 at 13%. Memes, number 4. GameFi, number 5. Stablecoin, label 2. RWAs, Rune, EVM. But that's the narrative breakdown right here.
Well, that's narrative for what time frame?
24 hours. We go to 48. 48 AI, DeFi, ETF, memes. We go to 7 days, AI, DeFi, memes, GameFi. But it looks like ETF is gaining quickly. It's gone from 5% to currently.
Well, my
14.
narrative is 4-year narrative. It's that Bitcoin cycle, 4-year cycle, and Solana is going to replace or equal ETH in the market cap because of the adoption. That's my narrative.
Yeah, if it's over already, that would be unprecedented because it would be 3 years for this market cycle. And ever since literally the inception of Bitcoin, it's had 4-year cycles.
Take my
since
money.
the beginning.
Yeah, and that
So
coincides with the global liquidity, right? And U.S. has not lowered the rate yet. China has. Canada has. U.S. is holding on. So until Grandfather Powell started lowering rates, I'm still in it.
Yeah. And then the poly market is pretty accurate too with their predictions of the rates. And they have they have a Fed decision in March at 100% cooked in. Real quick, Juan Correa, anyone on the panel have a comment or opinion on the XRP ETF? Can do its first price overall crypto market. I don't even know when that's set to be debuting.
double it.
I think they were in application, right?
Yeah. So this is
I can comment on that just of what the way ETFs work. If XRP gets an ETF approved, it will pump. How much? I couldn't tell you. Nobody can really. But you can get an estimate based on XRP's popularity compared to its market cap. So something like Bitcoin has a market cap like several times that of XRP, but it is so popular that when its ETF launched, there was enough of an inflow to make it triple in price basically from when the ETF launched. But something like XRP has always had the problem that it has an absurdly large market cap. So what it can do with price is limited because of that. Remember that for the price to double, the market cap also has to double. So if it already has a market cap of, I don't know, what is it at, 50 billion, whatever, it needs another $50 billion to basically come in for your price to double.
130 billion.
Yeah.
30 billion.
130 billion, even worse. So you need $130 billion to come into that ETF. Not exactly. Market caps don't work 1-to-1, but the point is that you need a lot of money to come into that ETF for XRP to double in price. And unlike something like Bitcoin or Ethereum, which even Ethereum though, they are way more popular than XRP is. Don't get me wrong, XRP has its own diehard base, and they're the fucking most loyal fan base I've ever seen in my life. They've been holding on to that shitty coin for 9 years. I'm completely convinced that it's gonna change the world. But unless it actually does change the world, that ETF is not gonna make it like quadruple in price or something like that. So, but it will definitely bump. And
I
if
want
you-
to go on record and say that it might actually quadruple in price. Because according to XRP people, market cap doesn't matter. So, yeah, according to their logic, it doesn't matter. But you know
XR
what I have
people
to
are
say?
the craziest motherfuckers in crypto. I just want to put
They're
that out
crazy.
there.
They're so fucking crazy. But I am literally in shock about XRP because I gotta tell you, the people who are in XRP, they've outperformed 95% of all of crypto Twitter and probably most of everyone. And I mean, I think this is probably what's going to happen for XRP, and then it'll go up. But maybe it'll just end up popping from right underneath here, from right there. But regardless, yeah, XRP has outperformed Bitcoin. So if you would have bought XRP at any time in not just the last year or 2 years or 3 years or 4 years, but literally from when it hit the top, from December 19th, from 20, literally starting in 2020, if you would have bought XRP, other than like when it popped up for like a week or whatever, like 2 weeks out of the 2 years, 3 years, you would have outperformed holding Bitcoin, which is absolutely insane because most people just kept on dollar cost averaging in, and they just kept on buying more and more and more, full on faith, not even looking at the chart. Chart doesn't matter, price doesn't matter. I'm just buying, and we're new. So they get in. Most people are probably averaged in from down here, from like at least the middle, if not down here, which means that they've absolutely crushed. They've absolutely crushed it. They're up twice as much. Maybe 50% to 2 times as much as Bitcoin is, and it doesn't matter if they got in, if they've been coming in since the last 5 years.
Before we even continue this conversation, I think that we need to acknowledge that the fucking XRP, it's not even going to be determined until October.
Oh, really?
So that's
we got a minute then.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's
But I'm gonna say at this point, if it comes down, if XRP comes down enough, I'm just gonna buy it for the because you have to at this point. You like every single normie that I know and that everyone I know knows, they always they're in XRP. Like that's the one that they know. They know, all the normies know XRP. They buy XRP, and they always say the same. And a lot of them say the same thing: Bitcoin's too expensive, Ethereum's too expensive. XRP, I could buy a lot of them, and it's cheap, so it could go up. And you know what? If enough fucking people do it, it's gonna go up in price. Price is a matter of people buying it, And so
I'm gonna go on record. If you say that the ETF decision for XRP is on October, that ETF approval for XRP is gonna be the top of the cycle. It's like the coming of the Antichrist, and it's gonna be the end of everything.
Time to go into your bunker, right? If XRP
to the moon. $2 super chat. XRP to the moon. Shut up. But
Lou has a great point. Normies, like for some reason, they know Bitcoin, and they always know. That's the second coin that every normie knows for some reason, and they're all fucking convinced that it's gonna go to $100 because they don't understand anything about math, and they just know that okay, it's worth $3, so it's cheaper to buy than Bitcoin at 100K. So I'm gonna buy a lot of XRP, and it's gonna go to 100 per coin, even though that would make it more valuable than the entire money in the fucking planet. Yeah, everyone's gonna be a millionaire because of XRP.
Tegan, if you could keep the personal attacks to a minimal, okay? I know that this is a personal. Don't attack me like this, okay? Yes, I may have spent $50,000 in November and December, but hey, this memories are gonna last forever. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I'm very, very, very dialed in to crypto. I think I'm probably pay attention to this. The only person who pays more attention on this panel is definitely Lewis. Nobody pays attention more than I. I'm literally wake up, sit down in front of Kaito, sit down in front of Twitter. I haven't touched grass in 4 months. I'm fucking in here just incel maxing on the crypto game. And every day I wake up, it's just bad news and price down, bad news and price down, bad news and price down. I think we forget that we had like a lot of compounding factors that added up to having a phenomenal Q4. We had multiple rate cuts that did good for crypto. But this fucking guy, Jerome Powell, is out of touch with reality. He is so out of touch.
Can you click on the link I just sent?
Yeah, I want to just add one more thing too. In addition to that, Polymarket is pricing in this. So we're heading to fucking max pain, because this too, Fed decision in May, is looking like no change. Well, it's starting to trend down a little bit, but there's no meeting in April. And if they do this in March, I mean, consumer confidence is going to fucking dude, the real, I don't know who's actually in America. I think nobody here is, but the real economy is in shambles.
Yes, it is.
The real American economy, the real people are suffering. They're not having a good time. We have a bunch of these people up here in fucking, in their ivory towers saying everything's fine, everything's fine, everything's fine. Eggs are fucking $11, right? Things are hard for the average person, and we need some fucking stuff to change here. Do you want to share from your end, or you want me to pull it up, James?
You can pull it.
Okay. So I saw this news. This is about Citadel Securities. Take a look here. James, go ahead.
Okay. Being from the TradFi space, there's a few of the big indicators you see if you're in a bull market or you're in a bear market. So when you hear, news about the mergers, buyouts, IPOs, expanding your business, that only happens during the bull cycle, right? So when companies are spinning out divisions, IPOing the new companies, because you cannot get a favorable valuation or the prices for these new IPOs or buyout of another firm, or all these things do not happen during the bear market, right? All you hear during the bear market is refinancing and layoffs and cutting costs, right? So for Citadel to jump into crypto market, it's a huge sign that they believe there's more bull market to come, right? They would not have jumped into crypto service if they're saying, well, there's no money to be made in crypto except on the short side. Well, why would they jump in, right? They would have waited until market was favorable to jump into this thing. So this is a huge sign, or one of the huge indicators, that we might be still in the bull cycle. And these are the guys they make market for the commodities, a bond product, and TradFi, like stocks, options. I mean, they're into everything on the TradFi side, right? And they're the liquidity provider for all the TradFi. And remember from the what's that movie with the GameStop? Smart money, dumb money?
Yeah.
Whatever it was. Yeah, remember these guys were the guys that were funding the Robinhood guys, right? So these guys don't jump in if it's not in a bull cycle. There's no money to be made on the bear cycle except for going short, right?
Trump check's going to bring us back March 3rd or 7th. Where has that even been confirmed? I don't think that's been.
The Doge rebate?
No, that was just the idea they floated. That was the only thing I thought about would like potentially be. We need compounding narratives to keep going. Doge dividend check. Ready to spend $5,000. Here we go. I'll check. I'll show you guys this real quick. This was posted 11 hours ago. Let's see. Doge dividend. Are you ready to spend a $5,000? Pump fund is coming back to life, boys. What do you need to know?
Buy a new TV.
Dreaming of a big fat $5,000 stimulus check? You're not alone. Ever since Trump floated the idea, what is the Doge dividends? Here's the thing. He's considering a plan.
How many do they need to do? Did it say how many billions do they need to?
2 trillion.
Because 2 trillion, and that their time frame, I believe, is not until
2026.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So any Doge
Probably not
dividends
gonna
are
happen.
coming out for a while. That's
Mhm.
like, yeah, I would say we could just kind of shelve that for the time being.
Yep. The poll, the chat though, 81% of chat, only 42 people voted. We have like 100 plus people watching, but only 42 voted. 45, get your votes in. Is the bull market on or is it over? Yes, it's over. It's the first option. No, it's on is the second option. Let us know.
I think if people went with their like feeling, they would say it's over. And if they actually were looking at the data and just taking everything in context, you'd go most likely it's all just normal. This is just noise.
Yeah, it could be. It could very well be.
Taking a break for lunch. We'll be back in
The
an hour,
hopium that I'm looking for is they are driving Solana down so they can acquire more. Because again, even if these ETFs are approved, the ETF approval is step one. And then step two is we've got to get inflow into these ETFs consistently over a period of time for it to go up. And so far, the only other ETF that hit the market has been Ethereum. And that has been, I mean, in context regarding versus other ETFs, is doing well. But for what it needs to be doing right now, like, no.
Listen. Until we see Richard Hart in the news and YouTube shilling his new coin, the bull market is not over. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see. So, Adam, you have anything else you want to say?
No,
I've seen this too. The SEC is dropping cases left and right, which is good. They're probably just being told to cut costs because fucking legal costs are so expensive.
Well, and they didn't win any of these cases, right?
Mm-hmm.
During Biden's term, that they took all these cases to court and they lost pretty much all of it. So, and you're right. That's why the legal cost probably was in tens of millions to, sue these companies and lose
per case.
Yeah.
Per case.
Per case. They probably, close to 100 million, whatever, right? So they're probably being told to, hey, cut the bullshit.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. Well, does anybody else want to say anything in closing?
Right here. Give me 1 second. Get you this one. Right here.
The EU is cooked too. I like how they just arrested this guy who won the election in Romania.
Really?
Did you see
There
that?
you go. Oh yeah, they're stealing elections.
Yeah, I just
Crazy.
mentioned that earlier. Here we go. I pulled that up on the screen. You're talking about this one here? This screenshot here, James?
Uh,
Hold on, I'll zoom in.
yep.
Yeah.
Solana futures ETF and Solana 2x futures ETF.
What is the code? It starts with Sol.
Sol Z and Sol T.
Let's go now.
A lot of people in the chat salty.
Let's see. Jesus Christ. this
you
game is
know,
fucking long.
Technically, Ye still hasn't launched his meme coin yet, and that could really just turn the whole market around.
I'm sure.
Kanye, screw with you.
So
I'm sure that is it. I wonder if he's gonna launch like on a Friday. Is he even gonna launch it?
at
So-
this point,
Yeah, right here. So volatility shares trust 2x Solana ETF, and then here. So what is this indicating, James?
Remember with the Bitcoin and ETH, they allowed the futures and futures ETF prior to approving the spot ETFs, right? So they're saying that now it's been listed. So in order to be listed, it has been approved or close to being approved. So it's one step closer to Sol ETF launching or getting approved.
Well, only time will tell. We'll see. Hey, for the record, I don't want it to be over. I just think it is. But
you're gonna set on it until Sol hits like 200. Then you're like, oh man, we're back, baby.
I need to see.
Let's go.
I need to see Solana consistently. Oh, I just got a message from Big Dog. Yeah, I don't know, mate. Fucking hell, guys. I like I said, but listen, if this shit goes back up, I'm gonna get fucking paid.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm already fine. It's not like I'm sitting here crying with like, $7,000 in my account. I'm fine. I'm like white collar depressed. Okay. I'm first world problem depressed. But
listen, my whole bag is down 40%. I'm still holding. Right.
Well.
So I haven't sold nothing. I sold nothing. I'm actually buying more SUI.
High.
I'm buying more SUI. Oh, and Louis, kind of going back to what you were saying earlier, how Bitcoin is going down, but there's the altcoins that are going up. I think we were talking about that a few shows, that because of the ETF and TradFi jumping in on the Bitcoin might be kind of decoupling from the rest of the crypto market. That's why we see the Bitcoin dominance might not be as high as in previous cycles. Or the correlation, more like correlation.
The correlation of Bitcoin dominance, because everyone that's buying Bitcoin now, most people that buy Bitcoin through the ETFs, they're not trickling down into altcoins like they did the last 2 cycles. They're just holding Bitcoin, and then when they sell it into cash, selling USD. So it's a very big shift from previous cycles for sure.
Even Invest Answers and Plan B, and even Bob said they were. I know Plan B said he switched to Bitcoin ETF from Bitcoin, and Invest Answer said he did, and Bob said he was thinking about doing that too, right, guys?
Yeah, they said Plan B did it because some of his information is getting leaked, and he's out there in Europe, and a lot of these guys are getting like held at gunpoint and stuff. So he's just saying like, I'm just going to give it to the institutions. He could be lying too, which is smart.
And the other thing is with the whole
take my money.
The latest hack that happened, Bybit hack. So people are becoming a little more aware of the security and the self-custody issue, right? So by having to buy the ETF, they kind of remove that risk and place that risk with the BlackRocks of the world instead of you holding on to the risk for how many basis points for the cost, which is like pennies.
CC with the $6.99 super chat says, "Hey John, what was the narrative that drove the 2017 cycle?" So I'll tell you what it was. It was the first cycle where Bitcoin had an inkling of legitimacy. And I remember I was in Tokyo during that time. I'm still in Tokyo, but I remember I saw like the hottest girls on train. Like everybody was looking at Bitflyer. Bitflyer is like the Coinbase of Japan, and they were looking at their Coinbase account or their Bitflyer account. And ICOs were all the rage. It was all about ICOs. ICOs were the original rug pull,
NFTs too. Remember NFTs on the ETH? That's why ETH pumped so hard.
That was 2021, but 2017,
everything. 17.
Yeah.
Yep.
2017 was ICOs. It was the initial coin offering, and these guys would collect a bunch of money, put out a roadmap, and do anything. That was when you had coins like Omise Go going to the top, and people were really hyped up about that. You had things like Zilla Coin, which was ICO'd, but ended up being nothing. I even went to one of these things and I met, like, this is when I started like getting, because I started getting red pilled on the reality of crypto. I went and met one of these guys who launched a coin, and this guy didn't know shit. I met Vitalik Buterin and I asked him, why do you think I should buy Ethereum? He's like, I don't care if you buy Ethereum. Here we are 7 years later, here we are now. The world is fucking clowning this idiot. Because if you want to win, you have to have the desire to win. You have to have the desire to be number one. You have to have the desire to crush all your fucking enemies. You have to be able to sell and implement your strategy, relentlessly day in and day out with enthusiasm backed by data. If you want to get to the top with your company, if you want to execute at a higher level. And I saw that a lot of these guys are just full of shit. Like these guys are just fucking scammers. I met 2 girls in 2021, raging cokeheads. Girls like I didn't even know that these girls would hide their cocaine in their fucking. I met this girl, Chinese girl. She hid her cocaine in her powder thing. It was like under the makeup section of that little like the concealer. And this chick was railing coke and then selling fucking Filecoin to like these idiot Japanese investors and just like getting coked up out of her mind and fleecing these idiot Japanese guys. And, she was coked up when we were hanging out and she was just spilling the beans to me. And, yeah, bro, what a wild time. So now this narrative was Trump getting back in the office. That was the big narrative. And it isn't looking too out of context to say that potentially the Trump, if that was a top, it wouldn't be like, people wouldn't be like, oh, that was it. Like that would actually was a pretty big top, but we'll see. But right now, so far, the data's on my side, which is everything's bleeding out on a day-to-day basis. We have seen zero recovery from anything. Bitcoin's the first time at 80K. It flushed down. What did it flush down to? The lowest it flushed down to was like 81.
80,525.
Right. So right at the cusp of 70, breaking into the 70K.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So where do you have it? I have 82,131.
I'm not waiting until we go below 70.
Below 70?
Oh, below 70, no, yeah, but 74 is kind of looking more and more likely as we go. But yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. We will see. So that was it. That was my narrative. It's CC. Shout out to you and your beautiful hottie you got in the picture with everything. I'm happy for you. I'm alone and miserable in Tokyo.
Hey, don't forget your dog. Don't forget your dog.
Oh, that's right, my hubby. She's a good girl. So yeah, that's just everything. And it's not to be, painting a picture of doom and gloom. But for me, the last time, another thing is this, and I know we shouldn't compare it to last time, but last time in Q1, I remember when I was telling the 2 guys I was working with, I was like, guys, I'm pretty sure this shit's cooked. And I got pushback, and these idiots didn't capitulate until June when everybody had lost all their money already. But they were raking in all their course bucks, so they couldn't see the truth. But I'm getting kind of the same vibe. I don't see the enthusiasm. I don't see, because the thing is, we need dumb people motivated and enthusiastic to buy. And we also need institutions enthusiastic to buy. Neither side is happening right now. And it's just the people in the middle just like, seething, like it's gonna go. It's like, we'll see. And again, I'll go on the record and say, I want to be wrong. But it doesn't look like I will be wrong so far, but we'll see. Hey, maybe this is a big conspiracy and we're going to go, it's going to God candle up next tomorrow. So, but again, another thing is like I see all the bad news happening, people falling out, people getting aggressive, people getting angry, so let's see what's going to happen. Anything else in closing, guys?
I think it's a good idea to protect your capital times of uncertainty. And don't get caught up in the bias of thinking like, oh, I put all this money in and it's down so much already, so I might as well just hold it if it's still an amount that's like reasonably enough for you, that's like makes a difference, because you could always just buy back in. you know. And I'm not saying like just sell it right now, but if you learn some even basic technical analysis, it could help out a lot. And maybe, you know, maybe you'll end up losing out on 10% of what you would have gotten, but also maybe you end up saving 80% or 100% of what you have, right? So it's like a big, a big difference it could make instead of just thinking like, oh, it's bull market or it's bear market, so I'm buying or I'm selling or I'm doing this or I'm doing that. Is thinking with more nuance and like is always helpful, and learning technical analysis and understanding like how to read a chart is extremely helpful. But just always make sure that you have capital on the side or available to deploy just in case something happens.
Sweet. Well, we'll be back next week. We're gonna have a week full of data. We will be in the month of March, and then from next week, the big countdown is: do we get an approval on these Solana ETFs? And is Solana going to continue to drain down in price?
I think 100, 117 is going to be the low for Solana.
I don't know. I think we're at the low.
I think 117.
I think 120 is like
plus or minus $10. Yeah, you know, $17.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, we're like
plus minus 100.
Yeah, we're all gonna take little 120.
Listen. There's always 100% support at 0, right? So it can go no lower.
People gotta relax.
It can go no lower than 0.
I'm not in Solana, but I'll be looking to long it if it comes down to about 100, 115 to 120 for sure.
Yeah.
Then what are we going to after that? All-time highs?
100, probably 165, and then after that, I mean, if you just look at it, it's pretty. It's like pretty obvious. Like you don't. It's not rocket science, you know. It's like, here's the chart. Like this is Solana. Like you could literally have just been like, okay, we were beforehand. You could have said, okay, we were bouncing off of this line every single time. We would just bounce off it over and over and over and over again. Oh, look, right here, we fell underneath of it and we did not immediately bounce back up. Okay, so you could just sell all of it right here and wait. If we bounce back up, you could buy back right there, or you could wait until, it falls however much percent this is, 30%. You could save 30% so far and buy back. But like every single time it bounced off of this line, it's like TA is not that difficult. It's just you got to do some basic stuff, So right now, this right here, this horizontally, this was a big support. This was a big support, resistance area right around here, So if it does end up coming down to around here and then bouncing hard, this is going to be where the area is that you got to be paying attention, because if it starts putting in some candles that end up looking like huge wicks, then, or end up looking like this with a big candle and a big wick up on top, that's pretty bad. And then it's probably going to come back down. And even I saw this. I was looking at XRP earlier, and it's like people don't realize how simple this stuff could be. I drew this out because I remember XRP was like, I think here, right? And I drew out this line because I saw, oh, this was the bottom right there, and it was pretty obvious. Okay, so I was like, if it comes, and I drew that, this I drew it up here, and look, it came down, boom, 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 and it's just all right. Jumped all the way back up, jumped up against Bitcoin, for almost 5x. And how do you know to sell here? Well, I mean, just look back here. It jumped up here and it fell, and jumped up here and it fell, and jumped up here and it fell, and jumped up here. So you could just draw out these levels. Super, super simple. Put some alerts in and do that, And so for Solana, to me, it's pretty obvious. We got this big, well, I guess you got really do it from here. This whole area right here is pretty big resistance because it came up here, fell, came up here, fell, came up here, fell, and then it busted through. And then it came down, support, came down, support, came down, support, and then busted through. So yeah, this level around 180, 160 to 180 is like really big. It's an important level. So you know that when it comes up there, you could start paying attention to it. You don't have to pay attention to it down here. You don't have to even look at it. Now, it doesn't matter. But once it comes up here, start paying attention to it. And if it comes down here, you see, look, it bounced off of what, 118, bounced off of 118 here, bounced off of 118 there, bounced off there. It fell a little bit below, but then bounced up, bounced off here as well. So if it comes down here, all right, start paying attention to it, you know, and if you start seeing some bullish stuff happening, maybe it'll bounce just like how it bounced all of these other times, right over all these other times. So maybe it'll do that again. And then, you know, you pay attention to it. And if it happens to fall underneath of there, all right, maybe you could just cut it because who knows where it's going to go after that if it happens to fall. Or if you're a long-term supporter and you think, all right, it's good enough, then you could hold it. But I wouldn't recommend doing that. But yeah, so if it comes down here, I'm going to be looking for buys and I'm going to be looking to sell it somewhere up in here around 160 to 170. And if it happens to come up, then I'll look to rebuy it, you know, on a dip and with a stop loss underneath there. And so it helps protect me. And unless we get the ETF, then I'll just hold it until maybe like, 250 again. Because I mean, this is also going to be a pretty obvious area. I mean, shit, if you looked at the previous high, look at the previous high from October 2021. What was it? It was 260. If you would have just bought it, like fundamentally, you buy it because it's doing really well, and both fundamentally and technically down here at 50. You say, oh, I'm going to sell it at the previous all-time highs at 260. You'd be fucking golden. You'd be golden right now, you know? So yeah, it's just like, you can just do stuff like that. It's not too difficult. And you know, it doesn't have to be your whole bag, but I have a trading account and I have a long-term fundamental account. And so, yeah. And right now my trading account is doing pretty darn well. And my fundamental account, even though I stopped using it, I lowered the amount that's in it like drastically. My trading account is doing so much better right now. So yeah, I don't know. I always say learn some TA, basic TA, and so that's
again though
Zero
you're
to
a professional trader, and that's your trading plan and your strategy, right? So
yeah.
That's where you got to kind of learn what your trading plan and strategy is, because
yeah, you got to learn. You got to learn something.
Yeah, I'm more macro and cycle based, so I don't, because Lou is more of a position swing trader, right? So he'll look at the local tops and the bottom, gets in and out based on the, supply and demand zone, right? In daily or whatever weekly chart. I'm more of a long-term holder and look at the macro cycle. So that's why I'm trading based on the 4-year cycle, right? So I feel like
you could even combine both of those and only do the trades at like the biggest levels that there are, like the weekly chart or something like that, or that just where it's like so obvious, and you don't have to buy it or sell it, but you could just watch it, at those levels. Yeah. And then if something comes up that's really obvious, you could take your buy or your sell at that point. And I feel like that's actually that I started to do that, and that's been working out pretty well.
Good. Guys, we're going to wrap it here, though. We've been almost 2 hours. We'll be back next week, guys, to show everybody I was right and everybody else was wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong. 0 to 100, $2 super chat. The XRP community is a hard-headed bunch. Watch. Listen, I believe in that. You don't have to send me money to believe that. But we'll see what happens. Only time will tell. Until then, you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching us. Hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next week.